Hi, we're Raizes do Brasil, or Roots of Brazil, and we're located right here in Madison. Our home group in the United States is in Santa Cruz, California, but our group practices right here in Madison, in a couple of spots in the city. And we've been here for about 13 years, and you're gonna see a bunch of video of us playing in the last couple of years, and today, you're gonna see some of us on live video who are right here with us. First, we have Asa, which means wing. Next, you're gonna see Alegria, which means happiness. Asinha, little wing, and Locomotiva, which means freight train. And I'm Folha Seca, which is dry leaf or just folia. And we're gonna take you through a little bit of what we do. What you just saw was makulele. It's a dance fight that we play with sticks. And it's a sister art form to capoeira. We often play it for performances, including a bachisado, which is an event we have once a year so that all of us who play capoeira can come together and celebrate and sometimes receive a new chord and show what we've learned. Makulele is what it's called. What you're gonna see next is also an Afro-Brazilian martial art form. It's called capoeira. And it's usually played in a roda, or a circle, where people on the outside are clapping And then at one end, we have instruments, which you'll learn about in a little bit. And in the middle of the circle, people play in pairs. And when one person wants to be part of that game, they buy in and buy one person out, and then it's a new pair. You'll see some games right now.
permissão, abanando com as mãos, pra poder participar. E roda de capoeira, energia e brincadeira. Tem menina capoeira, tem o tombo na ladeira. O jogo tá animado, o toque tá bem marcado. Tem palma, tem euforia, tem raiva, tem alegria. E abra a roda capoeira, vou levar. O toque do meu birimbau, capoeira vai jogar. Abra a roda capoeira. foi pra jogar.
Abre a roda, capoeira, vou levando, vou levar.
A roda é pra todo mundo, joga quem sabe jogar.
Abre a roda, capoeira, vou levando, vou levar.
Hoje o negro joga livre, mas lutou pra se libertar.
Abre a roda, capoeira, vou levando, vou levar.
No toque do meu birimbau, capoeira vai jogar.
Abre a roda, capoeira, vou levando, vou levar.
Um pé na frente e outro atrás.
What you'll hear next is a history of capoeira. The person speaking is caju, which means a cashew fruit.
Capoeira today is a mixture of martial art and dance. It originated in Brazil many years ago among slaves that had been brought from various parts of Africa. Capoeira is an art form that has both Brazilian and African roots. The slaves in Brazil practiced capoeira as a way to defend themselves and fight against their oppressors, fight against the slavery regime. Capoeira was then a crime. It was a crime to practice capoeira, so they have to do it in a hidden way. So the slaves learned to disguise it as a dance. They would sing and clap hands while playing the capoeira game in a circle. The people who played and fought capoeira became known as capoeiras. After the end of slavery, capoeira was still prohibited in Brazil, but capoeiras persisted, practicing and playing wherever they could, until there came a time when it was not prohibited anymore, and then black capoeiras started developing their own schools to teach the art of capoeira. By then, more and more people began to learn, including children, and capoeiristas, that's how we are now called. We are called capoeiristas. Learn to play music instruments like the drum that we call atabaque, a small hand drum which is called pandeiro, and a string instrument that is called berimbau. Most capoeira rodas now use these three instruments. A capoeira roda is a capoeira circle where we play. As I mentioned, capoeira is played in a circle or wheel, which we call roda in Portuguese. Portuguese is the language that is spoken in Brazil. Two people play inside the circle. Two people play capoeira inside the roda, while the others sing, clap hands, and play instruments around those playing in a circle, right? The two people are playing a capoeira game. That's how we call it. We call the two people who are playing a capoeira game. Many games can be played during a roda. The roda can last just a few minutes, but it can also last hours. You know, it's very it's fascinating because as you start to play, you know, it creates an energy, and people want to stay to keep playing. It is a beautiful thing to watch a capoeira game. It makes you happy. It makes you strong.
Here are some of the main instruments in capoeira that we have in a capoeira roda. The first one is called an atabaque. Atabaque, say it with me, atabaque. That's a drum. And here are a couple of the rhythms that we play on it. The first one is for a capoeira roda, and the second one is for makulele, which you saw in the very beginning. next instrument is called the pandeiro. Say it with me, pandeiro, pandeiro. It looks like a tambourine, but it's a little bit different. Oz and I are gonna play just a little bit, and then you'll see another member of our group, Raizes do Brasil. Her name is Vovó, which means grandma, and she's gonna tell us a little bit about the history and play. And the pandeiro, as you'll hear, looks like a really simple instrument, but it's actually our most complicated instrument to play well.
This pandeiro, or frame drum, came to Brazil with the Portuguese, who brought it with them when they came over to South America from Portugal way back in the 1500s. And they got this drum, or a drum of the same idea, from North Africa, probably. And the folks from North Africa went up to Spain and Portugal and all around the Mediterranean, and they brought with them these frame drums that had bells attached. So originally, way back, this drum came up from North Africa to Portugal, over from Portugal to Brazil, and then over a long period of time, it ended up looking like this.
This last instrument is called the berimbau. Say it with me, berimbau, berimbau. And in a lot of capoeira rodas, a berimbau is the instrument that dictates the rhythm and how fast and what kind of games the people in the center play. In some places, the atabaque, the first instrument that you saw, is the instrument that does that. But in a lot of places now, the berimbau is the instrument that dictates that. We usually have 3 berimbaus: the gunga, which is the lowest one, the medio, the one in middle, and the viola, the smallest one, and oftentimes the one that will play variations of the berimbau. And you'll see those now. When all of the instruments are played together at once and they're dictating what happens in a capoeira roda, they're called the bateria. Bateria. It kind of looks like the word battery. Bateria. And here it is. Portuguese is the language that we use in capoeira, and so that's the language of the songs you hear if you listen to capoeira music sung in a roda. So we're going to learn just a few words today together. So let's start with como vai você? That's how you say how are you. Como vai você?
Como vai você?
Como vai você?
Como vai você?
So we're going to ask somebody in the song, how are you? And her name is Dona Maria. So we're going to say, Dona Maria, como vai você?
Dona Maria, como vai você?
That's right. So we're going to sing it first together, and then we're going to bring in the instruments. So you at home, if you want to sing with us, you'll sing with locomotiva and asa and azinha and alegria. You'll sing the response. Vai você, vai você.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Como vai você, como vai você?
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Jogar bonito que eu quero ver.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
And now we're going to add the instruments. Vai você, vai você.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Como vai você, como vai você?
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Jogar bonito que eu quero ver.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Jogar bonito que quero aprender.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Oh, vai você, vai você.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Como vai você, como vai você?
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Jogar bonito que eu quero ver.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Jogar bonita que quero aprender.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Oh, vai você, vai você.
Dona Maria, como vai você?
Next, we're going to learn some animal movements, both the name of them and the action. And when we play capoeira in slower rodas, you often see some of these animal movements. So except for one of them, which is canguru, kangaroo, the other three you could use in a capoeira roda. So if you want to do this along with us at home and learn them, you might already know them. If you found yourself in a capoeira roda someday and you did these movements, you could totally play a game with any one of us. So we're going to learn the words and movement first and take it right into a song. The first animal movement is sapo, sapo, frog. The second is urso, urso, bear. The third is canguru, kangaroo. That's the only one you wouldn't do in a roda. And caranguejo, caranguejo, crab. So come on up, and we're going to do a whole song out of this. So if you haven't already, do it with us alongside of us at home. We're going to go through it 3 times. Oh, you sapu, pu, iu, su, su, I canguru, ru, ru, I caranguejo, ju. Oh, you sapu, pu, iu, su, su, I canguru, ru, ru, I caranguejo, ju. Mais rápido, faster. Oh, you sapu, pu, iu, su, su, I canguru, ru, ru, I caranguejo, ju. So now you're going to see a bunch of capoeira rodas. You'll see them played in different places, indoors, outdoors, including at a wedding. We really like to, in good weather and pre-COVID times, play capoeira outside. So we'll often find a fun patch of grass or a street that's friendly to a capoeira roda. So when you're watching these, see if you can see any of the movements that you've already seen today, whether they're animal movements or some of the kicks that you saw, alegria and locomotiva and asa and sapinha use. Good morning, bom dia. So I'm just gonna take you through a little bit of the basic movement, which is Jenga. So you might not have space where you are, and so you can just watch. It's just gonna be a couple minutes. But if you do, and it's okay with the folks where you are, go ahead and stand up. You only need about this much space. So we're gonna start in cadeira, or what we call chair. We're right here. And then we just put one leg back. You're not gonna worry about your arms right now. And then step up and back. And instead of crossing, your leg just goes straight back. It's kind of like a triangle. And back up and back. And now when you come back up, take your other leg. It's probably your left leg. Back. Back up to your chair. Let's do that one more time. And now this time, you're gonna put your other leg back again into chair, and then switch. You're just gonna do that, going back and forth. You don't have to worry about your arms just yet. We'll add those in a second. Just like this, and you're kind of swaying. Jenga means sway, and it's the movement from which all the other capoeira movement comes. So now we're just gonna let our arms go across our body. They're going in the direction that our Jenga goes. So just like that. And I'm betting whatever you're doing is great. And now you wanna bring your arm up. That's crossing, that's last across your body. Just up a little bit. I like to say sometimes when I'm teaching, I say this to adults too, that it's like smelling the inside of your elbow. And you can keep doing that. I just want to show you, once Jenga starts to feel more natural, comfortable in your body, it can evolve into this, right? And then you probably saw people on the video and different haldas doing this movement. And so all of our kicks come from this. So this is Jenga. We'll do a few more times and then we'll stop. So just Jenga with me just a few more times. We'll count to 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Give yourselves a round of applause if you were doing that. And we're gonna do a little bit of question and answer. Come on in, Kashu.
Okay. So now question and answer. Yep. Thanks for that. Yeah. Like I said, sorry for the choppy video. The recording that's going to be posted on the Monona Terrace Lakeside Kids page will look much better. So if you have any questions, please click on the Q&A icon on your screen and type into the text box that appears, and we'll get your questions answered.
While we're waiting for questions to come in, I'll bring up something that might have come up as a question for you all. If you heard names in the video like Alegria and Locomotiva, I was introducing people in Capoeira. After we've been playing for a while, sometimes this happens at the Batizado, which is the annual event. Sometimes it happens earlier, or sometimes people don't get names till 3 years in. Everybody gets a Capoeira name. And oftentimes it's given in jest, like something funny about the person. Sometimes it's really descriptive, and sometimes it's just like a joke. So for me, my name is Folha Seca, which is dry leaf, and
my name is Caju. And batizado really means in Portuguese baptism, which is this annual event in which some people receive their name, which, as Folha said, is usually adjust. It's usually, like something that stands out on the way the person either plays the game or the way the person behaves, or the physical, aspect of someone like John, you guys saw in the video, is this big, strong guy that looks like a freight train, and you don't want to be in front of him. If he comes at you, you're gonna get away. So that's why.
So it's locomotiva train, and Aza's wing, and she's a swimmer, and she has pretty.
So it looks like we have a few questions here.
Yeah.
So I'll read the first one from Teresa Lutzgraf. Sorry if I mispronounced her name.
Teresa or Teresa. Mm-hmm.
How did you learn this style of dance?
Do you want to say first?
Well, I'm from Brazil, but I saw some capoeira in Brazil. I never really practiced there. I did other things there. And I learned on a school in California, Raizes do Brasil school, a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And that's the time I've been practicing. And
that was with the mestre of our whole school in the United States, Mestre Papiba, and I saw it played on a university campus in Michigan and just fell in love with it when I saw it.
So from Ilana Bloom, how to get involved in your group in Madison?
Just send us an email, and so I can give it to you now, or I can have Misty, I'm sure, could send it out. But it's Roots of Brazil, Madison.
There's going to be a link
Okay, great.
on the website. So if you go to the Lakeside Kids page of Monona Terrace and look at the past videos, we'll also put a link to your website. So if people want to contact you.
Great, thank you. And just let us know in an email if you don't join one of our current classes, and you wanted a particular special class, we just need at least 5 people to make it a go.
So the next question is capoeira ever a competition? I'd like to answer that. Yes, it is. It really, there are different styles of capoeira. What you just saw is one style of capoeira that we call capoeira regional or regional, because it's from a certain area of Brazil, and there are competitions of capoeira, in which there are different groups of capoeira who have different takes on the sport. Some practice it more as a dance than a fight. Others are much more strongly focused on the fighting aspect, because as you saw, all those movements, those kicks with the legs, those can really be and actually there are, if you just look around online, there are people who plays like MMA or other competition fights that they use capoeira movements as part of their fight skills.
And I would just say to that it can be a competition, but also it is about the response, and that is can be equally respected. So if I were to do a takedown on Caju and he gracefully falls out of it and turns it into something else, that might be considered to be just as, we don't have points, but it might be considered to be just as valuable as my kick or my takedown. Because it really is about the conversation.
Next question from Teresa. Where did you learn Portuguese, Jenny? I'm from Brazil, so that's how I learned.
So I actually learned it in Capoeira. We sing a lot of Capoeira songs. And so I didn't know much. And then I went to Brazil and I learned a lot. I learned it not the same way I learned Spanish. Spanish I studied and then I practiced it. But Portuguese, I just learned some of the songs, and I went and I just kind of threw myself in, and I made a lot of mistakes. But it was fun learning. Like the song that I taught, the Vai Você, Como Vai Você, that's how I learned to say, how are you, Como Vai Você.
Yeah, and you don't need to know Portuguese to practice capoeira, of course, right? So if you want to come to a class, you don't need to know any word in Portuguese. you will learn because we sing in Portuguese, you know, and some of the movements, I mean, most of the movement names are in Portuguese, but that's, you know, we just say it and we translate it.
But can I say something? This is really fun. A lot of members of our group, you guys might know Duolingo. They're on Duolingo, and that's youth as well as adults. And a lot of people are now really motivated because of the songs, and they're learning more Portuguese that way.
So how much long do we have?
Oh, I don't.
We have 15 minutes, so we can
Okay,
keep
yeah,
going.
because there's a bunch of questions here. So
Okay.
from Teresa again, why are you dancers? Well, we consider, I mean, capoeira is always played with music and drums and, you know, singing, as you said. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't even have to have instruments, but people are, you know, if there's 3 people playing capoeira, the third one who's not actually playing the game will be clapping and singing something. So, and then the movement is always according to follow the rhythm of what's being sung or played. And then you can improvise as you move around following that beat. So that's the dance aspect of it. I mean, historically, in terms of, you know, the history of capoeira, as I mentioned in the video, capoeira was practiced by slaves or freed slaves in Brazil. And all the way up to 1930, it was actually illegal and prohibited in the country. And so people used also the dance aspect of it to disguise. So if you're playing capoeira in a roda and then suddenly the police arrives, everybody starts dancing, just regular dance.
Samba.
And then, so there is this deep connection between the musical aspect as also a way to practice capoeira and to fight this oppression that you know, is associated with its origins.
And a lot of people who practice capoeira or came into it were not dancers. I wasn't a dancer. You weren't a dancer. Well, he has really good rhythm, so he's naturally a good dancer. But a lot of people aren't dancers, and some people aren't athletes, and they just come to us as they are.
Yeah. So from Aurora. Krajnikont, hopefully I got close to your pronunciation. How much do you practice? We practice, we have classes.
Well, pre-COVID, we had classes 3 days a week, and they were an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Sundays, we added a half an hour for music.
Yeah, and so this varies again. Like in Santa Cruz, in California, we had classes 6 days in the week. Which, you know, you choose when you want to go, but if you want, you could go every day. How much do you practice? You know, you can practice at home. We play sometimes.
We play in our
just
driveway.
put some music and play some. So
we play with our 3-year-old.
But formally, we have, pre-COVID, we had 3 classes a week. That's what we hope to go back to after COVID. Are you holding classes? No.
Well, we're holding one class over Zoom, and then we've just started to do one socially distanced class a week. We're just starting to try it. Outside, I should say. Is this a traditional dance that is done at weddings and big celebrations, or does it have any religious connection? By Dipali.
Dipali Shop. Yeah, I mean, okay, so the history of African Brazilians or Afro-Brazilians and descendants in Brazil is deeply connected with religion. So it's really hard to extract. Like if you think of Brazilian music, samba, for example, you know, has roots in religion. So capoeira also has. So the first part of your question was, is this a traditional dance that's done at weddings? That's mostly true if the people getting married practice capoeira.
Like we did it, we had a hold at our wedding, a capoeira circle at our wedding.
And that's usually because, you know, like if we practice capoeira, we're gonna have a bunch of friends who also do. We're gonna invite them to the wedding, and capoeira is something that once you start doing, and if you like it, you want to do it as often as you can.
It's infectious. You just can't stop.
So, like, in a wedding, we're gonna have dance, right? So we're gonna have dance. Oh, might as well have capoeira dance then.
Yeah,
So
and it's fun for people who don't play to watch, and it doesn't have a religious connection. That's sort of set, not necessarily to the wedding, but I think you should answer that about
But
the
it-
religious connection.
But it has, I mean, so again, it varies from person to person. You know, each person has its religious beliefs. But it does have, like atabaque, the big drum that you saw in the video, is a religious instrument in some Afro-Brazilian, most Afro-Brazilian religions. And not only Afro-Brazilian, but actually African-based religions that you find from, you know, Central America, and South America, and even in the US as well. So there is that religious component, yes. Do online capoeira class exist? Yes, there are, you know, actually I found there are, you know, in this COVID times, there are a number of them. And actually our group, and the funny thing about this, you know, online class is that nowadays we can do classes with people all over the world, right? We do classes with people in Brazil all the time. So our group has, and you can contact us if you want more information on how to reach, because, or you can Google Raizes do Brasil
Or Roots of
classes,
Brazil.
or Roots of Brazil online classes, you might find some.
Santa Cruz has classes still 6 days a week, and we have classes once a week online.
Okay, Eric, is it easy or hard to learn? It's very aerobic and intensive, and require strength that you build over time. As I said, I started, you know, just 4 years ago, and you can take it at your own pace. So you can make it easy, or you can make it as hard as you want, depending on how hard you want to work.
And I have students who come into class and they do as much as they can, and they don't, that's fine. I have students who sit down and just say, I need a break. And then I have students who are able to power through until the water breaks. Just depends.
Next question from Leo. How long did you take to learn the dance moves? Not long. I mean, if you practice, I mean, the longer you practice, the more, you know, as any dance, the more sophisticated you can get, you know, that a lot of the dance moves also improve with your physical condition. But it's not like, you know, after, you know, I mean, we try to like have new students to, after the first class, second class, to be able to play in the roda. And then you improve as you go.
Yeah, it takes like 2 or 3 moves to play in the roda. And so that's enough. And then you can just keep adding to your language, right? To your conversation.
Okay, from Sarah Bebnek, sorry if I mispronounce again.
Saborio.
Is capoeira only a sport in Brazil? No, nowadays capoeira exists all over the world. There are like great capoeira players
Israel,
everywhere,
Africa.
like Israel, Africa, you know, different places in Africa, of course, Russia,
Asian
Germany, Japan, you know, Australia. Yeah, there is capoeira everywhere, and lots of it in the US.
And Spanish-speaking countries a lot.
From Beth Matcom, is everyone in the video Brazilian?
No.
No. There were a lot of like, the Brazilians in this video are actually, in the videos you saw, are actually minority, because these were all videos filmed here in the US. There were some Brazilian, but most of the students here are not Brazilian. It kind of looked cool when you were showing. Okay.
By Sarah, it kind of looked cool. Thank you. What is the name for capoeira in English? Also by Sarah, or from Sarah. There is no word. The translation, well, why don't you speak to the translation of capoeira briefly?
So capoeira, the word capoeira in Portuguese means 2 things. Like if you go to the woods, to a forest, and you get to a clearing in the forest where there's only like low bush, we call that a capoeira. And it makes sense historically if you think of, you know, slaves who would escape. In Brazil, they escaped into the forests, and they built communities that were called quilombos, and usually that would happen in, you know, near some forest clearings. Capoeira. That's one take. There are other meanings of the word capoeira.
How many people usually dance in capoeira? Well, there are only 2 people who play right in the middle. but then everybody who's there is welcome to join. You just join one by one. Yeah, so
Yeah, so I mean,
depends.
it depends on how many people are there to play. Like if you're in Brazil and you start playing in the street or in a park, you know, likely people who like it will just show up and say, "Hey, can I play too?" And then they'll join the circle, and eventually they'll join the. And if you Google or if you search on YouTube for capoeira videos in Brazil, you're gonna see lots of them. You're gonna see also that difference. Some are look really like a fight that people are fighting. Some look more like a dance. Uh, so when do you give people their capoeira name? Usually after a few months that they are playing. So it's like as if you join the group, as we get to know you and other capoeiras, we will try to identify what is like a characteristics of you that might provide a good name.
Locomotiva, the big guy, he went 3 years without a name. But then another person, Cegonha, who's a 20-year-old who just came to us, she got hers after a few months because she is tall and delivers pizzas. So we thought Cegonha, which means stork, because she delivers, was a good name for her. And so she got hers 3 months in.
That just is names.
Yeah.
So Sarah, then again, do people use capoeira instruments in other things, bands, personal instruments? Yes, there's a lot of percussion music in Brazil that uses all those instruments. I mean, samba, which is this trademark of Brazilian music, uses pandeiro a lot. Actually, pandeiro came to capoeira from samba. Atabaque as well. You know, atabaque is like a conga. It's very similar to a conga, and a conga is using salsa and merengue and like all these Latin rhythms. And berimbau is used also as a percussion instrument by some musicians in Brazil.
And there's evidence that there's a berimbau-like instruments in different places in Africa. What else?
Okay, so from Wendy, sorry, I'm lost. How often do you return to Brazil to perform there?
Oh, that's a good question. We go back to Brazil we try to go back every 1 year or 2 years because we have family there. But if you don't have family there, people, we encourage them to try to get to Brazil at least once during all the time they play capoeira. It doesn't have to be very often, but we have Brazilians come here about once a year, not necessarily to Madison, but to Santa Cruz.
Yes, and then like we are part of this group, capoeira. In this group, there's like little groups all over the U.S., but all over Brazil too. And the way we do our event every year, every group does their event every year as well. And what we do is we invite people from other groups, either from Raizes do Brasil, but also from other capoeira groups to attend. So people come from the U.S., from Brazil to the U.S. to attend these events, as well as people go from here to Brazil to attend these events.
And not just Brazil, but to Norway and other places that capoeira is played. Do different capoeira circles come together and make a larger group? Thank you, Sarah, for this question. Yes, that is I think that's one of the most important things that we do today to try to cultivate the capoeira culture. So for example, just in Madison, we have 3 groups and we come together, pre-COVID, we would come together once a month and with a group in Milwaukee and some folks in Chicago, and we would all form a halda together. We would do that once a month and trade off places to host. And it brings good energy. You have different styles and we all try to play together, and we also try to eat a meal together afterwards to make sure that we're, friendly and getting to know each other. Can you show us the hardest capoeira move that you can do? In the office, probably not.
No, yeah.
But I can show
if you come to the class,
yeah,
you can see some.
I can show you 2 really quickly. They're not hard necessarily, but they're fun. And one is one of our basic kicks. It's called a meia lua de compasso, which is a half moon of a compass. This is a basic kick. It's kind of hard to learn, but once you learn, you'll see almost every capoeira game you see played, I'll do it kind of slowly.
And that's also a move that, you know, people who actually fight,
And
use capoeira as a
use
fight,
this, yeah.
they use that a lot
But
because
it's a
it
really
can knock
beautiful-
someone out.
Yes. Yeah, say that again. Oh. So slowly, if you can just play a nice slow game, right? But then if you do it, you can do it a little faster. That's just a merely de compasso, right? And then, so that's played in most games, somewhere between those two tempos. And then here's a beija flor, which is beautiful flower. And this is just a really simple move. What's that? So that's not a hard one necessarily, but that's an example of one of the, like, we call them fancy moves, floreios, that we teach.
Okay, how many kids do capoeira?
In our group, we only have a small handful, but then we'll teach kids classes sometimes off-site.
Yeah, but
Okay,
lots of them.
one last question.
Oh, okay, let's see.
Let's see.
Oh, someone's asking about the ribbon that you wear around your waist, the cord.
Oh, okay. Do you want to show and talk about the chorus?
Oh yeah, we have sort of a ranking system, and so every year, generally you get a new cord. Sometimes you go years in between as you get up higher to the highest
This
cord.
is like the belts in judo or karate or taekwondo, you know, like a different.
Every group's
colors.
different. Our group is raw, yellow, orange, blue, green, purple, and then brown, and then mestre, and then you're the
Okay, well that ends it for today for our Lakeside Kids program. Thank you so much, Jen and Aran, and also to the Roots of Brazil, Madison, Capoeira Madison, for putting on this wonderful program.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.